Before we start, look at my cat. She's so cute. And look at this new bookshelf that I have. And then here's my other bookshelf. Hello, I'm Jenny Fern and welcome to my library. I am a chaotic neutral mechanical engineer who enjoys permaculture gardening and wants to talk about books, so let's talk about books. The day that I'm filming this, it's Christmas Eve. So what are we talking about? We're talking about books about math, obviously. Let me discuss my motivations for filming a video all about math in fiction and physics and science in general in fiction. I see a sentiment communicated a lot on BookTube that there are women who don't know anything about math or are really unconfident in their abilities in math or despise math or whatever the wording around it is. But generally there's a disdain for math. It seems like it kind of comes with the territory of being a reader, which is obviously not true. Myself, a mechanical engineer with a master's degree, thought I might as well make a video defending math in the bookish community. So I have here just a handful of books because, surprise, there aren't a ton of books about math that are, you know, in the fiction kind of arena compared to books about libraries and reading and books in general. I thought I would highlight a few, I don't know, hopefully make people less terrified by math. I understand that some people have learning disabilities when it comes to math specifically. Something really challenging that I dealt with a lot, the idea of not being good at math, stunting your own ability to study the subject, I suppose. So a little bit about myself. I thought that math, well, in reality they were my worst subjects, but math and physics were my worst subjects in high school. And for a while I hated math. I wasn't, terrible at it or anything, but I did have this disdain for it. When I was looking at what I was going to do in college, I decided on mechanical engineering, which has a huge emphasis and background of math and physics. So I had to kind of buckle down and power through it. I ended up really finding some sort of pleasure in calculus and math in general, just the flow of doing math and the beauty of it as a language itself. So I wanted to highlight some books here for anybody who kind of wants to get into it in a more inventive and fun way, who's coming at math and physics from a reading perspective. So the first book that I have is a children's middle grade classic, and that's The Phantom Tollbooth. In this story we have our main character Milo, who is bored and aimless and doesn't really see the point of school. And he ends up in a fantastical land akin to Oz, but there are two main kingdoms. There's the kingdom of words and letters and grammar, that kind of thing. And there is the world of math. So there's the Digitopolis, some fun portrayals of mathematical concepts, specifically infinity. Here we have a mathemagician, the concept of infinity. Yes, there's a dodecahedron. So just in general, there's a couple of chapters in this book that play off of math and the idea of learning math in school and mathematical concepts. So this is kind of a good way to start. Also, there's plenty of English content as well as playing around with sounds and shapes and colors and stuff like that. The next book is also a classic, and that is Flatland by Edwin A. Abbott. And this is a romance of many dimensions. This has to do with imagining a world that is two-dimensional and how the beings in that world experience that world. And there's like these wonderful portrayals of geometry. I just love a geometry-based story. I love geometry. There is kind of a troubling like class structure. There's some sexism stuff going on. The women are like really, really dumb. Yeah, there's just like this kind of caste system based on how many sides you have as a geometric shape. But yeah, you have chapters like how I came to Spaceland and what I saw there. And chapters like how, though the sphere showed me other mysteries of Spaceland, I still desired more, and what came of it. If you have ever had interest in dimensions and geometry, I think this book would be an interesting one to pick up. Hi, baby. Lay down. Do you want to come onto my lap? Okay. Come on. Okay. Okay. Yeah. We love you. So the next book is Sphereland, and this is a fantasy about curved spaces and an expanding universe by Dionys Berger, with a foreword by Isaac Asimov. This book has an introduction by Alan Lightman, who comes up later in this video. Sphereland is a sequel to Flatland, written many years later by somebody else. This was written in 1965. This was published in 1884. It's been a while since I've read both of these, so I don't recall a ton about them. But I do love in the back of this book, it does say that this is written as a sequel to Flatland, and it is the story of a hexagon, the grandson of the square in Flatland. And he's confronted with even greater dimensionality problems. In the process of solving them, he corrects his grandfather on some points, not all of them geometric. So it has to do with a little bit of social awareness and stuff. I think I remember there was something about a woman getting like shot into space. So I think that's in this one. So there's diagrams again. So here it's kind of the concept of when a sphere goes into a 2D space, what you see is a circle, even though it's a sphere passing through it. Oh, and then there's like stuff about mongrels and pedigreed dogs. Just weird. I love the idea of explaining non-mathematical concepts in like a mathematical structure. I also find that pretty entertaining. I've read like some poetry before that takes like a mathematical proof approach, and it's like a non-mathematical subject. It's very fun. That's my second book. I also have another book that I have yet to read that is in this extended Flatland universe, and it is called Flatterland. And then the last book that I have today is Einstein's Dreams by Alan Lightman. And I have talked about this before, but this is such a wonderful little inventive book. It's also the guy who wrote the foreword or the introduction to this version of Flatland. So Einstein's Dreams shows many different portrayals of time and how time can pass. So it's more of like a thought experiment and a way of imagining physical concepts that I think really gets you into the mindset of somebody who is really considering the world around them and the possibilities and what would have to happen in physics for these things to be the case. So I think this is wonderful. There's many science fiction works that really go into concepts of physics. That is all I have for this video. I hope you enjoyed it and I hope you found it useful. I would love to hear your recommendations for math and physics focused fiction work. I find that there's plenty of nonfiction work that is physics focused. I don't know a ton. I haven't really done that much reading of math because I'm not like a full-blown mathematician, you know? But that would be pretty interesting as well if you have any general math recommendations. I just find it is such a useful tool, and I hear it talked down a lot, and that might just be the spaces that I'm in. For example, within the permaculture community, you see a lot of people who are like, why in the world did they teach us math in high school? They should have been teaching us gardening. And I'm like, what are you talking about? Do you want to be able to build a trellis or not? Like, it blows my mind the amount of like bad talking math specifically is one of the most useful tools that we have as humans. There really should be more respect and understanding about what we are able to do because we have this understanding of mathematical concepts. Small rant, but it is definitely a pet peeve of mine, especially being somebody who was feeling really overwhelmed and had like a lot of negative self-talk about me and my abilities to do math. Getting through that and being able to have a master's in mechanical engineering, going through classes like rocket propulsion and orbital mechanics and stuff like that, that are really math heavy. It is so, so important. It's okay if you're not like a math girl, that's fine. I would really hope that you use your words more carefully if you start to talk about it being useless or something like that. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this and have a wonderful day.